Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now apparently there has been a proposed £40 a pay-per-view for Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Now previously it was going to be, what, £25 because Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua was £25, the rematch. Then Anthony Joshua versus Pulev was also £25, even though they said that that £25 for Ruiz was just because it was a mega event, then it would likely come back down. But it didn't, it remained at 25 for AJ versus Pulev, and the argument of Eddie Hearn is it's not gone up, it stayed the same. So how can you complain if it's staying the same as it was last time? It's not actually going up in price. It's just the same as it was for Ruiz, even though they did explain that that was just specifically for that event. Now, for Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, it seems like it will go up again, but this time in a larger margin. Now apparently this is to subsidize the 100 million pay package that would be agreed between the two of them, so obviously they both earn 100 million from this fight, and in order to do that, it needs to be a £40 pay-per-view in the UK. And obviously they are going somewhere like the Far East or Middle East, they're going to Saudi, I would imagine. That is going to be the most likely place to hold this fight. Now, the worry is with this pay-per-view system, is I said it before the Pulev fight, when it stayed at 25, I wasn't worried that it stayed at 25, I was worried that it was going to go up and keep going up. And that does have to be something that is challenged, because while this one will be about £40, if that's what they are saying, then what happens if this one's £40, then the next one is also £40. So does it just keep creeping up? And the way they do it is they do a mega event like AJ versus Ruiz the second time around. Then Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua moves up to £40, but after that, they just keep it there as well. And let's be real, considering Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will be fighting twice this year, that is going to be £40 in the first fight and £40 in the second fight. The big question is, what does it go back down to after those big fights? That is the big question. I'm not so worried about £40 for Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, because it is a big event. It's mega. Undisputed, heavyweight division, all of the belts between these two. Doesn't really matter about the £40 for this fight, because it does kind of warrant that. But does it stay at £40, or does it go back down to 20, 25, 30? Where do they bring it back down to after these two fights? So while personally I'm happy to pay £40 for AJ versus Fury just because I want to see the fight so bad, if we were told that it's £40 and the fight happens, or if it was like 25 or 30, the fight wouldn't happen, we're all going to say, okay, we'll pay £40, because this fight has that kind of intrigue. It's been the one that we are waiting for, so we're going to pay to see it. But the only problem is, and the only issue I take with it, is what happens after. Then does that become their standard pay-per-view price, and does it start creeping up again when there is another mega event? That is the bigger question. Now, I guess that the reason behind them doing this is because it will cater to a UK time zone, so they can't necessarily push it to the US market like they can in the UK, because it's not going to be prime time in the US. It will cater to a UK time zone, because it has been confirmed by Bob Arum that it will take place late evening or evening time in the US, which does mean it will be around 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the UK, which is a prime time for us in the UK. That means they're going to have to bring the pay-per-view price up if that is going to be the prime time, and they need that kind of revenue to ensure both fighters earn 100 million from this fight, which I would imagine is what they are being guaranteed. So along with the site fees and the revenue from the US and the UK, that will go towards that. Obviously in other territories as well, making money going towards that 100 million pay package for either fighter. One thing I would also like to know about is the undercard. If it's going to be this kind of price point, then what is the undercard going to be? Can we expect some huge fights on that undercard? I think we can expect no less, and I believe that that is what we will get. If you consider the magnitude of this event, everyone is going to want to fight on the undercard of this fight, so we could get some mega fights on the undercard as well, although many fight fans do pay for the pay-per-view just to watch the mega event, not necessarily for the undercard as well, which is understandable, do what you want, but the undercard does need to be strong when selling a £40 pay-per-view. And I believe it will. It's just who do they put together and what matchups can they make for that undercard. Now, back in January, what Bob Arum explained about this undercard is they are planning something that would be pretty cool, which would be some ARAM fighters or top rank fighters against Matchroom fighters on the undercard. Isn't it a shame that Errol Spence is not signed with Matchroom because, Terence Crawford on top rank, Errol Spence if he was on Matchroom, that could be on the undercard, although that is its own event. But still, imagine that. That would be such a great fight to make, but it seems like that one won't be made now, considering the situation with Ugas. He will go and fight Errol Spence, and they will have their big unification, and Terence Crawford ain't getting an Errol Spence fight or an Ugas fight if there are 3 belts held by one person, and he cannot get 50-50 when he holds 1 and Errol Spence holds 2, so that fight seems like it's off the table at the moment, but still, there are still some good fights that could be made for this undercard of AJ Fury between Matchroom fighters and top rank fighters. If they do that, that could be an interesting dynamic, taking some of the best fighters from Matchroom and pitting them against some of the best fighters from top rank. Kind of that deal they were planning to make between Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, Queensberry fighters versus Matchroom fighters, but that deal and that relationship completely broke down after the Joe Joyce versus Daniel Dubois fight, when Eddie Hearn was questioning the injuries sustained by Daniel Dubois in that fight. So that's completely off the table, but this relationship between Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn seems a lot stronger than the one between Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, which is good, and I wouldn't say it's a strong relationship. I say that they want to work with one another, and there is a strong working relationship. I wouldn't say they necessarily like one another the most, but that doesn't matter as long as they make the big fights, and as long as they bring us a big, packed undercard, then they can warrant the £40. I mean, AJ versus Fury on its own, with no undercard, warrants £40, but I still want to see a big undercard. If they are able to put that together, Matchroom fighters versus top rank fighters, great, pit them against one another, and winner takes all, just like in the main event. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? £40 is the possibility for the pay-per-view in the UK for AJ versus Fury. Now, I know that is expensive, but it is for Undisputed, and we just have to hope it doesn't stay at that, then go up again when there is another mega event. It will be £40 for the first one and the second one. If that is true, if it is true that they are going for £40 in this one, you can guarantee it will be the same in the second one. Let's hope that one doesn't go up anymore, but it is worth it for this fight, and hopefully they do put together a stacked undercard to go with it also. Because let's remember also that at the moment they cannot get fans back into the arenas. I mean, they have done in the US and in the UK 1,000 fans for AJ versus Pulev, but we don't know where we're going to be at that point. So at the moment they cannot guarantee that fans will be there in June. We would hope so for sure, but that cannot be guaranteed at the moment given the current climate. So that does mean that pay-per-view prices will be more expensive. It's going to be expensive regardless of that anyway, because it is Undisputed after all. So I guess the question we do have to ask is this fight worth it? Is Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury worth £40 for a pay-per-view? Absolutely yes, in my opinion. But guys, anyway, drop your thoughts on this in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.